Hi, my name is Bhagwan Chaudhary. I'm a professor of finance at ISB, the Indian School of Business. Today, I have three of my colleagues with me, Professor Shekhar Tomar, Professor Prasanna Tantri, and Professor Apoorva Javadekar, who's going to tell us about the RBI announcement today. So, Shekhar, RBI came with a big announcement today, and earlier you described it as firing on all cylinders. What does that mean?
So, Bhagwan, this is something which we were expecting yesterday, or let's say I was complaining yesterday that we were not doing enough for firms. So finally, RBI has come up with a package which is going to support the firms through the banking sector. And the idea is following. So there are a bunch of things which the RBI has spoken about. So I'm going to make it very simplistic. And the idea is that a lot of firms are not going to do any business in the next 21 days or maybe slightly longer. And so they still need to make payments for their rent, or they need to make payments for their wages or things like that. So now what these firms can do is they can go and borrow, or they can delay on their payments from the banks. So what RBI has essentially done is it has provided liquidity to the market. And this is almost to the tune of 2% of the GDP. So it's a lot of money which is out there, and everyone is talking about that maybe you can delay your EMI payments, so on and so forth. So the benefit is extended both to the retail consumers as well as to the firm side. But I'll mention just one small caveat here, that this is the potential of benefit that can actually go out to these firms. So I hope that this lockdown wouldn't last for too long and the firms would survive this period. Because if it really lasts a little bit longer, then we might be into a recession and then the things might change.
Okay, so yesterday's in the FM speech, we saw that a lot of those initiatives were targeted towards the poor in terms of providing them the minimum consumption levels, food and other things. But yesterday we were talking about that there was nothing being done for firms. And today, what Shekhar is saying, yes, today's announcement is targeting firms, is making it easy for them to borrow, because first they can borrow at a smaller rate. And second is that many firms, little firms that are borrowing and they had these payments due, those will be postponed. So we can literally be on a pause while we recover. And the point Shekhar is making, however, is that let's hope this pause is not too long, because if it's too long, although you can borrow, would you actually want to borrow if there isn't enough business going on? Is that fair, Shekhar?
Exactly. So it's really about, if you are in a restaurant business, right now it's fine. It's just a 1 month lockdown and you might want to come to business. But if things really go south, then the restaurant owner might want to decide whether he actually wants to be in the business or not. But overall speaking, the package provides enough ammunition, enough gunpowder to the banks to actually go and help these firms in the market.
So you were happy that this thing was done, and you think the amount, 2% of GDP, is a fairly sizable amount. Let me go to Prasanna. Prasanna has a worry that, okay, today you're telling firms, okay, it's okay to postpone, and we will not make you bankrupt. So we will not call you non-performing assets, but we have to be careful. What is it that we have to be careful about, Prasanna?
First of all, I share Shekhar's views about the need of the hour. I completely agree that given the situation we are in, this was required. But my word of caution comes from our experience of 2008, when we were in a global financial crisis, when we did it, when we allowed banks not to recognize NPS even when practically the borrower has no money. That was supposed to be an emergency measure for 3 months, and that continued for 10 years, and people like Shekhar rightly believe that it's still continuing its effects. So the problem is the banks, instead of, even when situation improves, you will have different kind of lobby saying that we're still in trouble, this is not, this sector is not recovered, that not recovered, and this kind of thing continuing, and banks literally not recognizing NPS. And one fine day you will realize that there's no capital. Everything is an NPA. So
okay. So Prasanna is saying that for the moment now, this is the right thing to do because they really do need help. But Hopefully we will recover, and hopefully the GDP will start picking up again. And that time we have to remember that these were temporary things, and temporary things should stay temporary and not become permanent, so that we don't end up with another NPA crisis 5 or 10 years down the road. Okay, excellent. Let me go to Apoorva. Apoorva, what do you think in terms of what RBI did? They did announcement, but did they do it right?
In terms of, I think the ammunition or the size of the announcement, it's, I think, fairly big announcement. But I share the worry Prasanna just mentioned to us, that moratorium is in need of the hour, but you could have targeted the moratorium better by targeting it to the firms which are going through liquidity crisis and not the solvency crisis. Basically, the firms which are already insolvent, which are already on the verge of NPA well before the corona crisis hit us, are not the firms who want to lock your capital in again. So some of the needy firms might still stay out of the system, and some of the firms which are inefficiently using the credit will get the moratorium for 3 months, which means that the capital is locked. So the targeting could have been a little bit better towards larger firms or more efficient firms. That's the only worry I share.
So what you're saying is that this was kind of a blanket liquidity injection, and some of the firms do really need it, and other firms are actually truly insolvent. They should not be given. If there was a way to differentiate this, this would have been a better target, but this was right now a blanket liquidity. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, and there could be multiple ways of doing it. You could have given a threshold on the leverage ratios, or you could have given some threshold on the credit ratings, looking at the credit ratings of the last year, something like that, so that you screen the good firms from the bad firms, something like that. But some sort of targeting was needed.
Okay, so I'm going to summarize the three things you guys have said. First one is, yes, this was a big move. It was needed, and this is going to help. But we have to remember that this is a temporary thing, and once the economy recovers, we should remember and take it off. The point Shekhar made, however, was that this is not going to be enough, obviously, if this pause becomes a serious problem. Instead of 3 months, if it becomes a year or 2, then we are in trouble, and no amount of monetary injection can really help. And the third thing that Apoorva said was that instead of a blanket liquidity injection, if we could have sort of discriminated and said, how can we give liquidity more to those who really need it? They are solvent, but they have a problem, versus those who are truly insolvent. So perhaps there will be some more tweaks over the years, but all of us really applaud the moves made by the finance minister and the RBI governor today. So let's hope for the best. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for your inputs, guys. Take care. Bye.